My name is Elle, and welcome back to Return to Wrestling. In 2025, I started watching wrestling again after 15 years. So there's been a lot of wrestlers whose careers I've missed, and a lot of wrestlers who I've just never seen wrestle before. So in today's video, I want to talk about the wrestlers that in 2025 impressed me. I want to start with the women's division. The first female wrestler that impressed me was Asuka. I've never seen her before, and I don't know where she came from, but man, 2025, I really like the work that she did. This is definitely, Asuka is definitely a wrestler whose career I'll continue to follow, and just hearing about all the accomplishments that she's done in her career, it's like, that's great and she deserved it, but I feel like she should have the wrestling resume that Charlotte Flair has. Like, I don't know what the big deal about Charlotte Flair is. I'm guessing because of who her dad is the reason why she has the career that she has, but I don't know. I think Charlotte Flair should have been given to somebody like Asuka, who deserves it. Speaking of other great female wrestlers, Io Sky. I had no idea what to think when I first saw her. She seemed like, at least on the main roster, she's like the smallest out of all the girls, but man, when she's in the ring, like she just destroys it. She probably really is one of the best wrestlers in WWE right now, male or female. Io Sky, she kills it. I'm not really going to include Kairi Sane on this list. I know they were together for like Damage Control, that was the name of the group or whatever, but Kairi Sane, she's done a good job and stuff, but I don't know. I just feel like Asuka and Io are like just a level above her. But aside from those two, Chelsea Green, like, okay, so the personality of the character of Chelsea Green is like those of, I always think of like girls who go to clubs. Like, I'm more into girls who go to house parties, if you know what I mean. But just seeing more of Chelsea, like on Chris Van Fleet and stuff, she very much seems like a house party girl, just playing like the club party girl. And she sort of looks like two of my exes combined, which is a bit weird and like doesn't really hurt things either. But yeah, no, her character work is amazing. I saw her wrestling match against Penta. I believe it was Lucha Underground, Lucha Libre. Might have been Nacho Libre for all I know, but she does such a great job, and it's always entertaining seeing her on screen. Even if it's on mute, it's always great to see her on screen. But no, she kills it. I don't want to see her beat Stephanie Vakir, who's currently the women's champion. But I wouldn't mind if she beat the WWE champion, women's champion, Jade Cargill. Like, I don't know what's going on with Piper. Maybe that would be a good time to have Piper come back and, you know, there's like run-ins or whatever, and Chelsea has to beat Jade by like cheating or whatever. But it's fine. She's sort of a heel and stuff anyways. But yeah, Chelsea Green, she is a wrestler who I believe will be the main event of WrestleMania or like other pay-per-views at the very least in the coming future. But last, certainly not least, the woman wrestler that has impressed me the most in 2025, La Primera, Stephanie Vakir. I don't know where she came from, obviously Chile, but I mean from like being born in Chile to wrestling for NXT. I don't know the journey of hers between that time, but she was like, when I first, because I obviously watched the Raw on Netflix and then SmackDown and NXT and all that, but yeah, like in terms of like the female wrestlers on NXT, she was definitely at the top of the list. Like, every time I would watch NXT, it's like, okay, like she was dual champion and all this, she has the looks, the moves. Stephanie Vakir, she's great. Like, I know she doesn't have the most charisma. She's not like dripping with charisma, but she has personality. Like, when she comes out, like the best way I can sort of explain this is like Chelsea Green, she has a lot of charisma. She does have personality too, but a lot of charisma. Like, Stephanie Vakir isn't the type to go out there and just do a promo and just put on a little show by, like, you know, a little song and dance, or just be all happy, bubbly, whatever. It's like, and anytime you see her smiling, it's because you know that it's like, okay, she's like really happy to be there, or she's thought of something funny, she's smirking, whatever, but she has like personality. It doesn't feel like she's playing a character. Like, it legitimately feels like she just loves wrestling. She's just there to wrestle. And English is like her third language. She speaks Spanish, Japanese, English. So it's like she's putting in the work, she's putting in the effort, like outside of the ring, because like in the ring, I don't know what other female wrestlers, even male wrestlers, could really like keep up with her and stuff. But Stephanie Vaquer in GM mode, I have her at like 60-0, like no losses. Stephanie Vaquer, she's currently the WWE like World Women's Champion. She should just be the champion for like the foreseeable future. Probably don't have her lose until like maybe 2028 or something crazy. But Stephanie Vaquer has been, for me, the most impressive female of 2025. And I just want to give a shout out to Jada Parker. I didn't really put her on the list. I think Jada Parker is at the point where 2026 can be a very good, like, defining year for her. And I wouldn't be surprised if she just, keeps up what she's doing, if by the end of 2026 she's main roster ready. But that was the women's division. Now let's move on to the men. Let's start with somebody who I never saw wrestle prior to 2025, but I have seen them in wrestling prior to 2025. You probably know who I'm talking about. Dominic Mysterio. This kid's killing it. This kid's hilarious. Like, it's just funny because, like, for the longest time, whenever I thought of Dominic Mysterio, I thought of the little kid with like the Eminem bleached hair and stuff, and like he had that like stupid chain necklace, and he was like dressed like a nerd. But like, I don't know, like I don't mean to hate on a child, but that's what I thought of him. You know what I mean? Like, I just remember the ladder match thing where, like, I love Eddie Guerrero, but like, that's just a good example of the idiocy of WWE at the time, where they're like, well, let's have a ladder match for the custody of a child. Like, it's insane. And I thought TNA was crazy back in the day. But, yeah, Dirty Dom. Like, this kid's killing it. Like, for all the praise I'm about to give him, I will add the caveat. I do not believe Dominic Mysterio should be in the WWE, like, world title main event scene for about another 3 years or so. I think Dom just needs to improve a little bit more in the ring. And if he is going to go into the title scene, like, he doesn't need to get, like, jacked. Like, he doesn't need to be Mr. Olympia with giant muscles, like, walking around, taking every steroid that he can. Like, no, but just put on, like, a little bit of muscle if he's going to go for, like, the world heavyweight title and stuff. But, no, like, this kid's killing it. Like, Dominic Mysterio, as of everything I've seen out of him out of 2025, and like, they show the clips of him years ago and all that. Dominic Mysterio, as of 2025, I think he still has at least a decade left in his WWE career, just at the rate that he's going. Hopefully more. Like, his dad's been in WWE for like longer than I've been alive, so I don't know, but yeah, Dirty Dom. Great job. I think in about 3 to 5 years, he is going to be main event ready and somebody you could buy as a world champion. Next up, Ilya Dragunov. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. I don't want to say he's Russian, and he's not. I think that they said that he was from Russia, so I could be pronouncing the last name and the first name wrong. I apologize, but yeah, Ilya Dragunov, just from what I remember, he sort of came in near the end of the year, or at least the last half of the year, for the U.S. Open Challenge. He beat, I believe it was Samuel L. Zayn, as I like to call him. Sami Zayn, Samuel L. Zayn. He beat him. Yeah, this guy's so good, this Ilya Dragunov. Unless there's something I don't know, or like whatever, or like maybe like last year he was just terrible, and now he's come back, and I don't know, but like, yeah, this guy's just... If I was running a wrestling promotion and I had Ilya Dragunov, just out of everything I've seen from him in 2025, I would put him like in the middle, like the mid card, but like at the top. Like, if I was looking at my card, whoever the main event matches are, like whether it's one or two matches, like, you know, the women's champ, the men's champ, whatever, I think Ilya, he's like right there, top of the middle card. He could be a main eventer. Yeah, this guy just comes in like, just for me, seemingly just out of nowhere, and I was just like, yo, this guy's solid, doing a great job. Ilya Dragunov, I definitely use him in GM mode. Yeah, this guy's so good in the ring. Love watching this guy. Next is someone who, from my understanding, has somewhat of a history or a tie-in to Ilya Dragunov. Gunther, Big Gunth, G-Unit as they call him. Nah, but where did this guy come from? You know what I mean? Like, I was talking to like some other wrestling fans about him and stuff, and you know, like some people were saying, oh, you know, he's not like the flashiest guy or whatever. He doesn't do any crazy spots, but it's like, no, as somebody who obviously didn't grow up watching territory wrestling and stuff, just anything that I have seen since then or heard about like the territories, I feel like he would have been a great heel during the territory days. But like even now, like I don't, it's just like, I don't know, it's just something about Gunther. He just feels like he's a legitimate heel. Like he doesn't feel like the type of heel that would cheat. Like, he feels very much like, no, this guy can just beat you in a wrestling match. Like, he doesn't have to cheat. But, yeah, like, this guy, he should be, like, in the main event scene. I think he did have the title in 2025. Yeah, and then he lost it to Jay. I think he won it back and lost it to CM Punk. But, yeah, no, Gunther is, like, sort of what you want out of a heel. I would like to see more, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I would like to see him use, like, more different, like, wrestling moves. Like, even some old school moves or whatever. Just even more basic stuff. Like a good old backbreaker, like a sidewalk slam. Some of the easy, simple stuff. But just a way, like, when he does moves, he does deliver it in a way that it just looks like, even though it might be a work or whatever, like, I still don't want to be on the receiving end of some of his moves with the way that they look, but Gunther, this is like a main event heel guy. This guy would do great, I imagine, probably any promotion he'd be in. But speaking of other people who impressed me in potentially other promotions, Javon Evans. Okay, so I know I tend to bring up 2000s TNA a lot because if you lived through it, you would too. Javon Evans, this is a kid, like, if I could throw him in a time machine and send him back to the 2000s, this guy would have just, like, he would have made a name for himself in wrestling, just in the X division, in TNA, just alone, and then who knows what his career would have been after that, but he's around now, he's killing it, he's bouncy, he's just, bouncing all over the place. During a Javon Evans match, I never want to look away because I feel like the minute I look away, he's going to do some crazy move. I'm going to be like, man, I missed it and I got to rewind it or whatever. But Javon Evans, like, this kid definitely has a future in WWE. At the time of recording, I don't know if he got called up to the main roster or not. I know there was a few segments where he was on Raw and SmackDown, but yeah, this is somebody, again, like Dominic Mysterio, I can see in 3 to 5 years being a potential main event guy. And like Javon Evans, even his title matches in NXT, he did a good job. Javon Evans, like, this guy, something about his personality, like, Javon Evans, if you're watching this, and I know you're a big fan, Javon, I'm a fan of yours, I'd really like to just hang out and just, smoke a bowl with you, play some, like, PlayStation or whatever. Like, I imagine he probably would like to play, like, some sort of sports game or whatever. Like, I could see him on, like, Up, Up, Down, Down, just playing, like, NFL, making AJ Styles mad when he loses. Yeah, Javon Evans, he just seems like a cool guy. He just seems like a guy you want to hang out with, drink, smoke a few drugs, do whatever. It doesn't matter, but, like, he just seems like a cool guy. You could just hang out, play PlayStation, go to house parties and all this. But yeah, Javon Evans, very exciting. I feel in some ways he's almost like this generation's Jeff Hardy in a sense where it's just like, people just love him. And he does a good job, and you just want to see him do well. Javon Evans, yeah, definitely one of the most impressive wrestlers for me, seeing for the first time in 2025. And another guy, I know he was in TNA, it wasn't when I was watching, Eli Drake, or as you might know him, L.A. Knight. Yeah. But yeah, no, this guy, he would have fit in the Attitude Era so well. And I don't like, yeah, he's just, I know everyone's like, oh, he's sort of half Rock, half Austin. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I don't really think he's like I'm not the big fan of The Rock. We're not going to get into it now, but LA Knight, like, again, if I had a time machine, maybe I'd go back in time and just replace The Rock with LA Knight, but I'd love to see this guy win a world title. I remember he had the most matches in WWE for 2025. I could be wrong, but I remember them saying, like, you know, he wrestled a lot. And yeah, like, this is a guy who, if I had a televised wrestling show that was on every week, I'd probably have him on the show 3 or 4 times a month. Like, maybe only miss 1 or 2 shows here and there, but he can go out, he can wrestle, he can talk. I know sometimes in his promos he might stutter or correct himself here and there, but I also like that he's not just like, oh, I have to look at my hand, or I have to write a bunch of stuff down, or when he's delivering a promo, and this is like one of my big criticisms of NXT and Logan Paul and some other guys, where it very much feels like, yeah, they're just trying to remember their lines, they're just reading a promo. So I like how LA Knight can just go out there and just say, hey, you know what, like, what are some of the points? Yeah, it might not be the best, but you know what, at least it's me doing it, at least it's my words. And he seems like the type of dude that you can say, hey, you know what, LA Knight, and he'll go, yeah. You got a 10-minute, 15-minute match tonight, you know, just make sure this, and this happens, here's a finish. And he can go out and he could just sort of like improv a match, like wrestle a match without it being all choreographed and written down and all that. But LA Knight, I hope 2026 is a better year for you than 2025. Not to say that it was a bad year at all, just that, you know, I hope LA Knight, every year, he's just more successful than the last. Yeah, excited to see more LA Knight. Yeah. But last, certainly not least, just like with the women's division, save the best one for last, Oba Femi, the ruler of NXT. Where did this guy come from? Like, so I'm watching like NXT. This dude comes out, you know, they play the music, the audience is like chanting, going crazy. He's coming out, I was like, doing his little like Oba dance, his little strut. He looks like a champion. If I was Triple H, I would get everybody in management, all the writers, the producers, all that, one by one, and I would show them a picture of Oba Femi. And if they didn't say he looks like a champion, I would fire them because they don't have the common sense to be in the wrestling business. Why is he still on NXT? Why is Oba Femi not on the main roster, just beating the shit out of everybody? Like, let's look at Saturday night's main event, the one where John Cena retired. I'm not here to talk about the John Cena retirement tour, this and that. Not a hater, not a fan. But I felt like, okay, just look at that show. You had Cody versus Oba Femi, right? You didn't need that. Unless Oba was going to win, you didn't need that. Even if Drew came in and, you know, cost Cody the match or whatever, so you can say, well, yeah, Oba won, but, you know, it wasn't like a clean victory. I don't care. But it's like, you could have just had Oba versus John Cena, and I don't think anybody would have got mad if Oba won. But, like, Oba Femi, this guy is a champion. Like, he looks like a champion. He presents himself. He carries himself as a champion. He looks like one. He talks like one. He wrestles like one. So it's just, Oba Femi, why is he 2026? He should be in the Rumble. He should win the Rumble. He should be at Elimination Chamber, King of the Ring. Give this man a world title. Like, oh man, Oba Femi, where did this guy come from? Like, that is a wrestler. Oba Femi, like, you look at him and it's just like, okay, there are people who should be ashamed to share the ring with him on, like, the main roster and some of the NXT, but, like, no, Oba Femi, this guy, if you're going to sit here and say Braun Breaker is, like, a future main eventer, which I believe he is, then you gotta say Oba Femi as well, because, like, this dude looks like, you could build up Oba on, like, SmackDown or Raw, and you have Braun Breaker on the other. Just a year. Give them a year of solid booking, no losses, just destroying everybody in their path. And then it's like, well, who else is left? Yeah, they beat everybody on SmackDown, everybody on Raw, undefeated. Boom. Braun Breaker versus Obafemi. You build that up, you make that a WrestleMania match. Oh, that's a WrestleMania main event. I'm telling you this now. But yeah, and then shout out to Trick Williams. I'm sort of impressed. I didn't really put him on the list proper. I feel like, and I know Trick is on the main roster now, but Trick Williams, he has the look, the charisma, the personality, all this, but when I listen to his promos, it's very much just sounds like, you know, the normal stuff you would hear from a heel. Like, it's like, oh, like when he had the TNA title, he's like, oh, I'm wearing it upside down because, you know, I'm turning it, this thing's upside down. I'm Trick 2 brands, you know, tricking A. And he says all this stuff where it's like, okay, yeah, like this is something a heel would say, but I don't know how exactly to describe it, but for Trick Williams, I feel like he's one good promo or match or even an angle away from something a bit more, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Something a bit more real. Something you can really gravitate to or, like, bite onto when it comes to Trick Williams. Like, I feel like Trick Williams is a great character, but to compare him to, say, Chelsea Green, I feel like who Chelsea Green really is she either dials it up or takes certain parts of herself to exaggerate for the character of Chelsea Green. I just feel like we need something that's going to make me buy Trick Williams as like, okay, I sort of understand why he's here, what he wants to do, who he is. Whereas now it just very much feels like, yes, he's playing a character. And I know in every sense all the wrestlers are playing a character in some ways, but I don't know, just when I see Trick wrestle and he's on the mic and all this, I just feel like, okay, there's just something missing. He just needs that one thing, that one defining thing that's just going to push him over the edge. But yeah, Trick Williams, Jada Parker, shout out to those two. I think 2026, if they just keep doing what they're doing and, you know, if they get lucky and they get that break with like that defining moment, angle, promo, whatever it is, then there you go. Okay, now they're ready for the main event or higher up on the card. And as for everybody else, those were the wrestlers, male and female, that impressed me in 2025. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.